me here. My name is Sheldon Pitt. I'm one of the real estate brokers here in the Bahamas. I'm with Better Homes and Garden. And I have with me Robert Pantry. Robert Pantry runs one of the leading lending companies here in the country, mortgage companies. And we want to talk to Robert to find out what's going on in the Bahamas, how he sees it, how was it before, how's it going now. So Robert, you want to introduce yourself to the people?
Okay, thank you so much, Sheldon. I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on the webinar today. Okay,
Yeah.
so I would have been in banking and finance for the past 20 plus years.
Well, wait. What I want to find out from you, though, Robert, I had a couple questions for you. I want you to just, first of all, I want you to tell us about Simplified Lending. Who is Simplified Lending? Okay.
So Simplified Lending, we are the leading mortgage brokerage company in the Bahamas.
Right.
We work with various financial institutions within the Bahamas and also international financial institutions and regional financial institutions. So for the most part, most of our business involves the brokering. We do have our personal financial services team that deals a little bit with the direct lending part of things, but we specialize in mortgages for local high net worth clients, expats, non-residents, purchasing second homes in the Bahamas.
Okay.
And then we also do in terms of commercial lending and brokering.
Right.
We would facilitate large real estate development transactions, commercial other commercial ventures.
Okay.
And we also help clients find strategic partners when they're looking to do business in the Bahamas.
Right. Okay, that's some good information to let people know exactly who Simplified Lending is. I know, as a former managing director of one of the leading commercial banks in the Bahamas in the past, what was the approach during previous recessions or previous times like this? How did they deal with that?
In the past, typically like any other financial institutions, they would typically start to be a little bit more cautious about lending. And also they would probably be more targeted and selective in who they lend to in terms of typical recessions. Obviously as the recession move on and, companies start to the recession start to come to an end, you see they get a bit more aggressive.
Right.
And then as the recession is fully ended, they would come out and be more aggressive in lending that probably would end up leading to another recession.
Right. I understand. All right. And then also with this, with this COVID-19, is this something that, I know it's something we've never seen before, we've never experienced this. So what do you think the banks, and what are the banks, what approach are they taking now, banks, or people approaching them for lending now?
Surprisingly, the banks they have the tax off completely. They are still lending.
Okay.
I would have done a deal over the past 3 weeks at the height of the COVID-19. It was $1.9 million real estate deal for someone buying a second home here in the Bahamas.
Right.
So they are still open. Like any other financial institution, they're very cautious. I think they're watching it day by day.
Right.
But they have not shut off the taps.
Right.
But just highly selective, right? And we would have done not only for a residential mortgage, we would have done a commercial deal as well.
Right. So that being said then, so for someone who wants to purchase real estate right now and needs financing is still available then for them?
Financing is still available, highly selective, and that's as of today, right? Obviously, we know with COVID-19, that can change tomorrow, everything, and then it could change again the next day after that, right?
Right.
But generally speaking, I think the financial institution realized that this is unprecedented. And I guess if there's one silver lining to it, is that the world is going through it at the same time.
Right.
And that there is a plus to that. there is a plus to that because, no one want to go out of business, big banks, etc. So, they are exercising cautious, they are exercising patience. A lot of the financial institutions, rather than letting the loans go in default, they're waiving, the next 3 to 6 months payments.
Right.
So that action actually allows for, the economy to come back quicker. Whereas in, previous recessions and bad economic times, the bank is foreclosed. They, take the assets, try to sell the assets at a discount. So, the benefit is together. So people are now naturally forced to work together.
Okay.
And ways that they didn't did before.
Good. And you know what? Another thing I want to talk to you about is, why don't you walk us through this process of this relief program regarding mortgages that's there now? Can you give us some information on that?
Okay, so currently right now, the government of the Bahamas would have put out some $20+ million for funding for businesses.
Okay.
The big part of the program is designed for employees to continue to retain their staff.
Right.
So businesses would have to retain a minimum of 51% of their employees. The government has, it's two parts of it. It's a loan. Right. And for those that approve for the loan, they would also be approved for a grant, right? The grant, one of the major requirements that employers must retain a minimum of 51% of their staff.
Okay.
The loan itself, it's very low, 5% interest rate over 5 years. So the payments afterwards, and then no payments for the first 4 months. Just give me 1 second, Sheldon. Let me.
Working from home, Robert. We know what
working from home.
We all know. So Robert's gone. He has to deal with some other personal business, but we know what it's like when you're working from home. I don't know if you all saw that video when the father was there and all the kids ran in. He had to push them by their heads to get them out of the photo, and the mother ran in and dragged them away. Well, same situation here.
Yes, my apologies. So please, everyone.
We accept it because we're all going through the same thing. So it is nothing strange about it at all. Nothing.
At all. So okay, good. Yeah. So the program, it is designed to cover operational expenses for 4 months.
Right.
And the view is that in 2 to 3 months, that the economy will start to open back up again.
Okay.
And businesses will be in a position to now rebound.
Right.
From it.
Right. Okay. And I guess one of the other things, I guess, what is the interest rate out there right now? The current interest rate with all banks? Like, what are they? I mean, it's different in different banks. I understand that, but has it gone down a little? Do you think it'll go down? I guess the facts. I guess.
No, rates have gone down.
Yeah.
Naturally, for the second home buyers market, the Fed, U.S. Federal Reserve would have reduced their prime lending rate.
Okay.
And a lot of the local financial institutions, their base rate for U.S. dollar mortgages is tied to the New York prime. So as that went down, their rates on existing mortgages and any new mortgages is much lower. Also, in the local market, you will find that because there's not a lot of lending opportunities, and so if there is a client who for some reason may be in a particular industries that probably doing pretty well or faring pretty well, and the banks do elect to lend to that particular individual, that individual has a bit of I guess a pricing power, because again, you don't have a lot of clients who right now the banks would be willing to lend to, so they can negotiate favorable rates. Right.
So right now, what is the attitude from clients and customers amidst this? When you speak to them, how are they?
There is still a demand for people to buy real estate. We have seen the demand. Some people wait and see, but some people want to move. I think now that, people are spending so much time at home, they got time to focus on some of their personal goals and strategize. And now that they have time to move their personal goals forward, some of them are moving forward with their personal goals. But for the most part, it's half and half. Some people say, just, I want to wait and see. If they're to purchase, they say, just let me wait and see.
Right.
People are concerned that, they want to make sure they have a job coming out of this. So, it's a mixed bag.
Mixed bag. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That's some good information. I'm sure everyone would like to hear this, because we know what's going on in the Bahamas, but there are a lot of people out there in the world that really have no idea of what's going on here when it comes to real estate and banking in this country, the Bahamas. So we want to let everybody know that we're still here, we're still doing business, and things can still happen. So This is Robert, like I said, Robert Pantry. Robert, I want you to tell us, how do we get in touch with you? How do we get in touch with Simplified Lending? And where can we find you?
Right. So we are located in the Caves Village. You can reach us at info@slendingbahamas.com. Feel free, you can send me a personal email at robert@slendingbahamas.com.
Okay.
You can reach us at 603-1730. Or you can reach me on my personal cell phone, 376-1072, area code 242. Just one other important point I want to make before we wrap up, Sheldon. Relative to the international buyers segment, we've seen some interest in terms of financing requests from the international markets. Like individuals in New York and densely populated cities, we see that there is a tendency to now inquire about, real estate in less densely populated, parts of the world. The Bahamas being, according to one report I saw, one of the 7 most safest places for coronavirus.
Yeah.
And you think about places like, you have islands in the Bahamas with only 1,000 inhabitants, right? Very sparsely populated. So we're seeing some movement toward that, because there were always some bit of a movement towards those areas for extreme privacy. And you'll find some of the super wealthy would prefer to have a little bungalow in a remote part of the island. And so we've seen a little bit of some attraction towards inquiries around financing for homes in the Bahamas, in the islands, etc.
Right. No, I have to agree with that, because, I'm the Bimini specialist, and believe it or not, I'm getting calls on a regular basis about Bimini now. And I always got calls on Bimini, but they're continuing. They haven't changed, because they're trying to get out of the United States. So I have a couple things right now under contract and a couple under offer. Unfortunately for you, they're all paying cash. Which I'm surprised. They're just paying cash and they're just going through with it, because they just want to get out, and they want, like you just explained, they want somewhere like this, like the Bahamas, to come to, as populated as possible. I mean, we only have, 400,000 people in the entire country with 7,000 islands and 26 inhabited islands. So we have a lot of space. A lot of people are coming, so that's a good point. Very good point. So I want to just thank you for taking this time to speak with us and putting this message out there for everyone to see it and hear it. So they can know that if they need lending, Simplified Lending is the way to go. Contact Robert Pantry, and we're just here to help everyone. Okay, so thank you very much, Robert. Take care of yourself. Be safe, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, bye, guys.
All right, bye. Okay, everyone, how you doing? Lots of questions about that real estate market. We'll talk to agents in other videos. We'll speak to other industries here within the Bahamas, see how they're getting along, lending institutions. So stay tuned, look out for us.